I'm attorney Danny Izquierdo of the Izquierdo Law Firm. This was a case that had a lot of different elements. It was a pretty complicated case. Our client was obviously charged with causing the death of the victim. However, in the course of our investigation, we learned that he was actually protecting two women from what turned out to be a crazy intruder at his apartment. There was a struggle for a gun. Ultimately, our client takes possession of that gun and shoots this guy in self-defense. And why I say this was such a hard case that we lost, we didn't actually lose. See, our client was charged with second-degree murder. The jury ultimately came back on a manslaughter. If you're charged with any type of homicide, whether it be first degree or second degree, the jury coming back on a lesser, such as manslaughter, is actually a win. However, we were extremely invested in this client. We believed wholeheartedly that he was acting in self-defense. This was a justifiable use of force in the state of Florida under the stand your ground law. This was somebody that, as a 16-year-old juvenile in another state, had already served a lengthy prison sentence. This was kind of his reintroduction into society. This was his second chance. And the last thing that made this even more difficult was that these two women that he defended, that he put his life in danger for, that he ultimately acted affirmatively to protect, left him stranded, high and dry. They refused all efforts to come to court, testify, tell the jury exactly what had happened. Ultimately, the fact that he was a convicted felon, I think the state got in a jury instruction about a felon in possession. We argued that that's not a violation of the law because he was acting out of necessity. Ultimately, the jury comes back on a manslaughter and convicts him of being a felon in possession. Like I said, in a typical homicide case, that's a win. In this client's case, it was technically a win. Because he had a prior conviction, he was actually facing enhanced penalties. Had he been convicted of the second-degree murder, it would have been mandatory life, no questions asked. That sentencing would have lasted all of 5 seconds. Because the jury came back on the manslaughter, he has a chance to one day again be released from prison and enjoy his final days out as a free man. However, because we believed in the story, because we felt that the jury ultimately got it wrong, this will probably go down as the toughest case that I've lost, even though most people would consider that a win. We saved him from a mandatory life sentence. We got the jury to come back on a manslaughter instead of a murder. Like I said, we take our cases personally. We live the struggle alongside our clients. That's why this one really felt like a loss, and it was a tough loss to swallow at that.